The market town of Northleach has existed since the year 780, but became commercially important in the year 1227 when Henry III granted it market status. The parish church of St. Peter and Paul has existed since about 1100, but the current building dates from 1380. The church has some of the best monumental brasses in England, adorning the graves of several wool merchants from the town. The Church of St. John the Baptist is the largest of the wool churches in the Cotswolds. It is renowned for its perpendicular porch, fan-vaulted ceilings, and tombs of wool merchants. The Trinity Chapel dates from between 1430 and 1460. To the north of St. Catherine's Chapel is the Lady Chapel, first built in 1240 and extended in the 15th century. To the north of the chancel is St. Catherine's Chapel, which dates from around 1150. It contains a wall painting of St. Christopher carrying the Christ child and fan vaulting dating from 1508. The town itself dates from Roman times when it was known as Corinium. Byberry is a small village on the Colne River that is noted for its scenic weavers' cottages called Arlington Row. The Colne River is a tributary of the Thames, and the trout farm in Byberry keeps the river stocked with fish. The cottages were built in 1380 and were originally used as a monastic wool store. In the 17th century, they became the home of weavers who supplied the nearby Arlington Mill with wool. Emperor Hirohito visited Byberry in his tour of England in 1971. We stopped at Hufkins and Burford for a cream tea lunch before arriving at Blenheim Palace. Blenheim Palace is the principal residence of the Dukes of Marlborough, and it is the only house designated as a palace that is not owned by either the Crown or the Church. It was constructed between the years 1705 and 1722 as a reward to John Churchill, the first Duke of Marlborough, for his military triumphs in the War of the Spanish Succession. This war culminated in a battle that took place on this location in 1704. Blenheim was saved from bankruptcy in 1896 when the 9th Duke of Marlborough married into the Vanderbilt family fortune. It was also the birthplace and childhood home of Winston Churchill. Several rooms have been filled with items celebrating his life. This includes a large collection of his miniature soldiers. The staterooms are decorated with gold gilding, artwork of various forms, beautiful furniture, and many tapestries. Our favorite room in the house was the long library, which was designed by the famous Christopher Wren. One of the unique features about Blenheim is that it has its own pipe organ, which is located at the north end of the library. Adjacent to the long library is the family chapel. On his death in 1722, John Churchill was buried in Westminster Abbey in London. When his wife died in 1744, his coffin was brought back to Blenheim, and the two are now interred together in this family chapel. Finishing the tour of the house, we exited into the gardens. The estate is quite large and has several trails and lakes, but we stayed in the area of the water terraces where there are several fountains. Leaving Blenheim, we stopped briefly in the village of Bampton, one of the filming locations for Downton Abbey. The Church of St. Mary the Virgin was the location of the weddings on the show, and also Matthew's burial place. This house, adjacent to the church, was the home of Mrs. Crowley.